Everyone, Rod Santomassimo, the Massimo Group, the world's #1 commercial real estate broker coaching organization. And yeah, earlier last week, we had a special session, me and Bob Knakal, our longest tenured coaching client. Bob Knakal is the GOAT of commercial real estate brokerage. And during this session, someone asked him, hey, Bob, why should I pursue exclusives? And the answer was pure gold. I think you get a lot of value of this and realize why you should ask for exclusives all the time. Enjoy.
So I'm curious, Bob, what would you do to help the seller understand the benefit of listing the property as opposed to just, talk to my clients only and not having true exposure?
Yeah, well, that's something that you have to make a decision about what your value proposition is. One thing that Paul and I set up as our value prop right from the beginning is we're only going to sell properties, we're only going to represent sellers, only going to work on exclusives, and only sell property in our territory. And that takes 6 seconds to say. There's nothing ambiguous about it. It's very clear, and you got to stick to it. And even when times were tough, I think, and I've said this, look, I totally love this business. It's my job. It's my hobby. I've been asked several times, hey, BK, if you weren't a real estate broker, what would you do? I've never answered that question because I've never given it thought. But if New York State outlawed the exclusive listing, I'm out of the business. I find it detestable that I'm going to work on something and some other guy is going to come in with another buyer and get the seller to go before my guy goes or whatever, and I'm not going to make a fee. I'm not doing that. But you have to decide, what are you going to do? There are several brokers that work on off-market deals, work on open listings, do very well. For me, that just doesn't work. So you have to be able to articulate a couple of things. What's your value proposition? Why should somebody hire you? Are you really the expert in the area? You sell multifamily in your market? How many buildings are in your market? What's the boundary of your market? How many buildings sold in your market so far this year? And is that up or down from last year? How many buildings sold in your market in 2024, in 23? What's the average price per foot? What's the average price per unit? What's the average cap rate? If you don't know those things, you're not an expert. And very, very unlikely the seller should be willing to give you an exclusive. But if you do know those things, and I will bet you that the person you're competing with that has 20 years of experience in your market doesn't know shit about those numbers. Because they've been just, businesses coming into them, they're kind of coasting and they're doing okay, and they don't have to stay on top of it. But if you know those numbers like the back of your hand and all the stuff, and you say, look, you make a commitment to me. I'm not a hag. You know what a hag is? Hey, do you have a guy? You have a guy? Bring me a guy. Bring me a guy. Bring you a guy? Why should I bring you a guy? What are you doing for me? There's hundreds of people wanting to sell their buildings. If you work with a broker that's only going to bring you a guy, they're working with everybody on that basis. And if somebody's bringing a buyer to you, they must have a good relationship with that buyer. And if they have a good relationship with that buyer, they're trying to get that buyer the property at the lowest price possible. Why would you want to work with somebody that wants to get you to sell at the lowest price possible instead of the highest price possible? Hire me exclusively. Let me go do this right. I'll get a ton of bids. You'll know you got the highest possible price. You can only sell the property once. If you fuck it up, you don't get a do-over. So do it right. Don't go out and just have brokers working on an open basis, keep bringing you people that want to buy it at the lowest possible price. Let's do it. Let's do it right the first time. I think it's a very, very simple concept to articulate to people, but you have to convince the seller that you are the expert. You're the best person to hire because you know the market better than anybody else. And I'll give you as an example of that. When Paul and I started, because of our value prop and our territories are relatively small, we'd go in and pitch business and the seller would say, hey guys, look, I'm interviewing people that have been in the business 20 years and sold hundreds of buildings. You've sold 3 buildings. Why am I going to hire you? I said, yeah, we only sold 3 buildings. You're absolutely right. But we know the market better than anybody. Look at these market reports we put together. We can tell you about every single transaction that's happened in this market in the last 3 years. And yeah, we only sold 3 buildings, but one was on the block next to you, one was across the street, and one was a building right next door. We can be a better advocate for you in terms of convincing buyers why they should pay a higher price for your property than the guy who's selling buildings all over the world. And that got traction. Whether you believe that works or not, it worked for us in a very tangible way. And think about it. That basis multiplied by inserting people like a jigsaw puzzle into the market, each of whom had that granular basis, allowed us to think about what that platform did. We were a little popcorn stand just working in one market, competing against regional firms, national firms, and global firms. And from 2001 to 2014, according to CoStar, the number 2 company in New York sold 1,300 buildings. We sold over 4,000. So we kicked those firms' asses every fucking day for 14 years in a row, 3xing the competition. And why was it? It was because of a good system, market knowledge, sticking to your principles. And I would tell clients, if you don't hire me exclusively, like Kevin O'Leary says on Shark Tank, you don't hire me exclusively, you're dead to me. I don't care if you own a 13-story pink building on the corner and want to sell and you won't give me an exclusive. If I have a 1031 buyer come into my office tomorrow saying, I have a 1031, I have to buy, I need a 13-story pink building on the corner, I'm saying, I don't know about anything. I'm not exclusively representing anything like that because I think it's a total waste of time. And you say, oh, but the buyer, he wants that kind of building. You have this kind of building. Yeah, well, you're going to have to show them the building. You're going to have to show them again the building. You have to bring their partner in. You're going to have to underwrite it, get the information. Before you know it, you've spent 50 hours working on it. And you agree to a deal. You have a contract out. I'm going to make money. And then the owner calls you up. Oh, sorry, we just signed with somebody else. And you're a fool, I think.
Okay, so stop there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Isaiah, did that help?
It does. It helps a lot. I actually just need to focus more on my value proposition, get more clear on it. And I've learned the market. I have 2,885 buildings the last 10 years. The average turnover has been 3.8%. This year, we're at 2.7% turnover, so a little bit lower, but I just want to be more focused on that. And again, appreciate the guidance there.
I love that you know your numbers, Isaiah. I think that's awesome. And think about this. When someone will come to me and say, hey, BK, I know I'm trying to sell buildings in my territory, but this owner said he wants me to rent his apartments for him. I can make money doing this. And I said, well, that's good. You could also go buy some cocaine and resell it and make money. But is that how you want to make money? Stick to your value proposition. Spend time doing something that's going to make it easier and a higher probability of getting the next assignment. That's why specialization is so important. Think about this. As a broker, you have 2 main assets, your market knowledge and your time. You're always trying to increase your market knowledge, but the thought is you can't create time. I say that's wrong. You can create time. You can make time. How? By using time more effectively and efficiently. If last week you sold 3 buildings, you sold an apartment building, a retail property, and an office building, and this week you're pitching an office building, the owner of that office building wants to hear everything about the office building you sold last week, couldn't care less about the retail property and the apartment building you sold last week. So 2/3 of the time you spent last week is not helpful in any way with you getting this week's assignment. But think about it. Have you sold three office buildings last week and you're pitching an office building this week? 100% of your time is accretive towards getting this week's assignment. You just created time. In the same way, pick a value proposition and stay true to it. And if you can achieve the position where you are the go-to person for what you do in your market because you're known as doing only that, then you've achieved a position that is going to turn this business into an annuity for you over a long time instead of living deal to deal.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Isaiah, awesome for you.